Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trendy with Allison. And I have a very familiar face because we did a part one of Miss Audra Brown's salon hairdressing story, all the things. And off camera, we had such a fun chat talking about her journey. And we did not talk about that or discuss one detail of it during her origin story and just talking industry, right? So, today, she is back to share her amazing journey. Audra, welcome back to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for this.
No, so am I. So let's jump right in because when we wrapped, you were sharing so many funny moments at the beginning of your career. And if you are new into hairdressing, and even if you're a seasoned hairdresser, we all have those fun, funny stories and just how we got to where we are today. So let's start. Should we start with beauty school? What do you think?
Sure, we can start with beauty school.
Okay,
So
let's go.
I went to beauty school in Victorville, California. And then from there, I was able to get a job in Apple Valley, which is like the next town over. And I got fired my first day, which I told you all about that. I got fired my first day, my first client, because I fried off a lady's hair with a perm. and So that was not a very good experience for me. I started out kind of feeling very disappointing in the beginning of my career, just questioning a lot of things and immediately giving me like a complex, like, oh, geez, like, am I even
Yeah,
supposed to be doing this? And
yeah.
so I reached out to the nail tech who also worked for our California State Board at the time and the teacher, instructor. And so she hooked me up with a job at another salon where I freaked out in the middle of my first men's haircut there because of my previous experience. So, in the middle of cutting his hair, I just went in the back room and I decided I was going to start packing my stuff.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, so the manager comes in and she's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Hi, if you could just finish my haircut while I finish packing, I'm just gonna leave and I won't ever come back or bother you ever again. I'm gonna be out of your hair and I won't stress you out." And she was like, "Wait, what? Finished a haircut?" That she was still stuck there. So she's
Of
like, "Well,
course.
don't
She's
pack,
like,
just."
"Wait a minute. Wait, because
Yeah,
if we know salon ownership, right, you're counting on
right.
every single person no matter what their skill set is. So, if you say you're gonna walk out in the middle, not only are you thinking about your business, you're thinking about, "Oh my gosh, like, that client's
My
gonna
review.
leave here and tell people that a stylist at this salon." That's what you're thinking because it's all, encompassing, right? So
So she calls the owner who owned another salon as well. And so from that point, the owner has offered me if I wanted to come and assist her one day a week, and then I could work at my salon the rest of the week. Nobody would really know I was assisting, but I could learn to grow. And I was like, yeah, I think I need that. So
yeah.
from there, I was still kind of new and like, younger. So I wasn't sure. So I worked there for as long as I could. And then I ended up moving to Santa Barbara and I went to work at a salon there. And so I got to start working, doing nails and hair there the first day that I ever opened. And that was cool for a while. But actually, they ended up telling me that they wanted to take my booth and give it to another guy that they already knew. And so they were like, "We can hook you up with a job at a different salon." And I was like, "I think that's not going to work."
I
So,
mean, talk about
it was,
feeling like a second option.
yeah, I
Golly.
was like, "Well, that kind of felt bad." So I was like, "Okay, whatever, I'm going to keep going." And so I did, and I kept journeying. So then I ended up working on a military base at Fort Bragg. And from there I worked, and I was like, I was already getting pretty good because I already knew how to do hair by that point.
Tell me real quick what the time span was. Is this all within first 3 years or the first 5
That was
years?
about the first probably 4 years or something
4
like that.
years. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so then I go working on for Bragg, but then I was really good, and they liked me there a lot, and I made pretty high commission, except that I couldn't keep a clientele because most of the females are like weekend, they come for training and then they go back to where they're from.
Mhm.
So, they come get their hair done for their graduation from whatever training they're in, and then they go back to Idaho or Pennsylvania or, somewhere else.
They're just there for, like, boot camp or
Yeah.
something.
Right, like
Right.
training, yeah,
Yeah.
special forces training or whatever. So, then I was like, "I'm gonna get a job off post," so I could start to build, like, a clientele that sticks around, and this girl offers me a job, so I'm like, "Yeah, cool, I'll take it." So I start working there, and then shortly after I started working, we relocated the salon to a couple blocks over, so I helped them do all this, and then it was so crazy because I'm working and they called me into the office, and so I guess they overheard me telling somebody that the lady that owned a tanning salon where I was tanning at offered me a job, which I did not take
Oh,
because I was already a hairdresser.
oh,
But they
okay.
didn't wait to ask me that part. So they were like, "We heard somebody, you're going to work at a tanning salon. You need to pack your stuff and go." And I was like, "Okay." So I
Just
left
by
again.
rumor?
Right. From this other stylist who troublemaker anyway. So then I was like, "Okay." It was crazy. So they let me go, but there were 2 owners, and then they had a falling out. So the one owner was like, "Come back. I want you to come back." So I was like, "Okay, I like that owner fine." She wasn't really the problem. So I was like, "Okay, I'll go back." Well, I'm working, and I take all my stuff back, and I leave from work that day, and the owner comes in, and she's like, the other owner. She comes in, she's like, "We're shutting this salon down right now. Everybody out." And everybody had like clients and color and everything going on. So I find out they're about to shut this place down. I'm like, what? My stuff is in there, you
So
know?
you got caught in between like, you got caught in a storm, like a shit
Right,
storm
between
of
2
2
owners.
owners
Right.
who were at odds. Oh
Right.
my
I'm like, I'm just trying to
god.
work and take care of kids at the time, like I'm just trying to work.
Seriously.
So then
Seriously.
so then I was like, okay, I tell my friend, I'm like, get my trolley and all my stuff. So she
Yeah,
grabbed it,
literally.
they shut that salon down. I go to work at another salon, which was fine. I stayed commission for a while. And then from there, I moved into a salon where I could booth rent, and I rented for 8.5 years there consistently in a good salon. And
Yes.
then but I still wasn't really satisfied. Like, I went from having one suite mate to a private suite inside of the salon by myself, which was cool, but I like to be with other stylists and be with other people. And also, I was, like, starting to really get into making content and creating content, and I was like, I
Mm.
can't do this because my suite doesn't have a door and it's kinda loud and there wasn't enough room, and I was like I was doing the best I could. I had a little projector screen popped up and everything, and then I was like, "I really need a space." So, I start this endeavor to lease this building, and for 2.5 years, this guy I had a 3,500 square foot building I was gonna start leasing, and this
Oh
guy
my.
kinda strung me along. I had all these plans made, I had the building rezoned, I had all this stuff done, and then this guy just wasn't really holding up to his end of it, and I was like we'd already signed a lease that was way before the stuff was done, and he really wasn't coming through, and so I finally told my husband, I said, "Can you just reach out to this guy and, like, see if does he even wanna do this? Because if he
Now
doesn't want to, it's fine. Just let me know so I can g move on with my endeavor. Like, I'm
e
really serious with trying to do this."
exactly. Now
And
where are you located at this time?
I was working at a salon still in Fayetteville in North Carolina.
You had moved to North Carolina, you're still there. Okay,
Yes,
gotcha,
ever since I was
gotcha.
at Fort Bragg, I've been
I
on
know,
North Carolina.
I was like, "Kim, keep up, keep up." Like, my
Yeah,
brain, I don't know, went to California, but you said you were at the military base a while back.
right,
But
right.
continue.
I came as a military spouse originally.
Yes.
So, I was like, "Okay." The guy said he was fine with he wanted to go ahead and break the contract. He gave us all our money back, other than the stuff I paid for additionally, like the rezoning and stuff. So, we kind of parted ways. I was a little bitter, but I was like, "It's okay,"
Yeah, like, why didn't you even offer it in the first place?
Right, I was like, "Come on, man." And so, I'm driving around and I go talk to this other man, and he's like, he talked about me about leasing me this building, and I'm like, "Okay." So I talked to the architect about redoing more plans. So
Mhm.
then my mother-in-law calls me and she's like, "There's this little salon that's, like, around not far from your house that it looks like the building's up for lease." And I was, like, driving around looking for buildings, and so I was like, "Well, we'll go look at another one," like,
Yeah.
here we go again. So I'm like told my husband, "Call there and see because if it's a man, I'd rather my husband talk to the man," So I like calling the man
Mhm.
and see what's happening. I feel like they'll take him more he's much more serious than I am, so they take him a lot more serious than me. So I'm like, "Call them."
It's so funny, just, not to cut you off, but
No, yeah.
that we still have that dynamic in this day and age, where a
Yeah.
man's voice still holds weight over a woman's. Anyway, I
Yeah,
digress. Go on.
it does, it really does, especially to another man. It's not personal, but it's just man to man, you know?
Sure.
It is what it is.
Is what it is.
So right,
It works
and I'm
and it
glad my
works
husband
for
did
you.
call.
Use it to your advantage.
Right. So my husband calls the guy and he's like, "It is for lease, but I don't really wanna lease it as a hair salon." And at that time, additionally, I was doing, like, pop-up markets selling my own pottery I make. So I was like, "Well, see if he wants to lease it as a pottery studio," because my studio right now is 35 square feet. So I was like, "Maybe a little bigger," you know? And so he calls the guy, and the guy's like, I don't wanna lease it as a salon." My husband's like, "Well, you lease it as a studio, a party studio?" And the guy's like, "That's weird." He's like, "Nobody's asked me that." He's like, "I'd like to have a conversation with you." So I'm like, "Cool," because at this point, I've only looked in the windows, and I actually just wanna see the back half of the building. I could care less at this point if I get it or not. I just wanna see the
Yeah, now
architecture.
you're just curious.
Yeah, I was like, "I just wanna see," you know? So I was like, "Yeah, I'm always good for a conversation." So we go to meet with him, and come to find out he built this salon for his wife in 1996, and she went to beauty school when she was 40 years old and was a big old deal. So I come
What
to
a
look
cool
inside the
story,
salon.
though. Did she become a hairdresser?
Yeah, yeah, she owned the salon for 30 years, and they wanted her, that was the thing, they wanted her to retire, so they put the building up for lease, hoping they could find, like, somebody to come and take over a business and supplement income, but they didn't know what the business would be. So he said he had, like, a person that wanted to sell insurance out of the building, and he was like, "Nah," and a
Mm.
smoke shop, he was like, "No, absolutely
Ooh,
not."
definitely no, no,
Right,
no.
like, "No, thanks." So, then here I come, I'm like, "Hey, pottery." So he's like, we're in here having a conversation with him, his son, and my husband and I. And she has this full-fledged railroad theme going on inside the salon. Like, when you used to theme your house and like had a whole
I do.
everything matched. It was from
The
that era, you
chicken
tell. It
the
was the
chickens
90s.
and hens or the
Yeah.
you know, whatever,
So
the
she
mushrooms, all of it.
the
I
whole
I
thing,
remember.
everything.
Yes.
So she has this railroad theme going on inside the salon. I come in here and there's a sign out front and it says the hair station, but everybody thinks there's a railroad track right here. Like she was really into it. So I was like,
Clearly.
okay. So he's like, well, I want to take you to the house next door because this property is 100 acres. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to see an old house. So he takes me next door and he opens up the house and it's filled with raku pottery, and I'm like, "Wow, you have pottery in here. This is strange," you know? And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I went to college and I had to take an art class and I figured I wasn't artistic, but I was born and raised on a farm, so I could do something hands-on. So I tried to do pottery." He's like, "I loved it, but I never went further in it." And so I'm like, "Okay, cool. That's awesome." And he's like, I think you're supposed to take the salon. And he's like, I want you to go, ponder on it a bit. And so, and call me in a few days and let me know what you come up with. So now I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. And
Well, but before you go on, tell us about because you were telling me you have this thing, this aura about you and
yeah,
things
so,
happen in a certain way for you.
right.
These
So
signs,
I'm
right?
always,
That's what you called it. You called it a sign.
yeah, I'm always looking for signs. That's what I look for. I look for signs all the time. I'm like, everything, it'll bring it to you if it's meant to be. So you got to look for the stuff. So I'm like, okay, I go to leave. And he's like, call me in a few days. And I'm like, sure. And so I'm like, telling my husband, I said, well, we had to go pick up our daughter from the airport in Raleigh. And so we go up to Raleigh and I'm sitting in this pizza place and there's a half wall in the pizza place and everything's all Italy based, it's an Italian pizza place. And I look on the half wall and I told my husband, I said, look at that's weird. There's like a random train on this half wall in here, just sitting there, just a little tiny train, like this big, just sitting there. And I'm like, I think that's a sign. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like, I think that's a sign. Like, that's weird. Why is that there? And so it ends up our daughter didn't even get off the plane that night. The rain was so crazy that they had to reroute her plane to Charleston, South Carolina, and we were in Raleigh picking her up at the airport. So we went home with no kid, but we had this like train idea. I'm like, that's weird. I was like, okay.
Like,
So
almost like you were supposed to be there at that point
yeah,
in
it was
time.
I was like, okay, well, that's weird. But then I'm like, okay, that's cool. So we end up, we're like, yeah, we're gonna take this salon. And so we call the guy, and so, but we already had a planned a trip to Vegas and then to go into California to see my parents. So I was like, well, if we hurry up and get the salon ready, we can still do our trip, and then immediately when we come back, we'll open. And just so happened that Friday was Friday the 13th, and I was like, let's open on Friday the 13th in October. Like, why not? Like it
I
made
mean,
sense.
is that a good sign though?
I don't know, but it turned out
I
to be a
I
fun
was like,
thing.
"Oh my god, scary."
I
But
was
but it worked
like,
out. Plot
yeah,
twist.
right. Well, so then we get to we're in California, but every time we go to California, we always thrift a suitcase. So we're in California, but the night when we were finishing getting the salon ready, I'm like home at 10 o'clock at night because we just finished waxing the floor and everything was ready. I mean, ready to walk into work. And I get home, my daughter's like, "What time is your flight leave?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think it's like 2 in the afternoon or something." I was like, "I should check." I look, I'm like, "Oh, actually, we're flying at 5 a.m. Like, and it's already 10 at night. I haven't packed anything. Like, I didn't even try to pack anything yet because I thought I had tomorrow morning to like cut my husband's hair and get us packed up to go."
Oh
So I'm like,
my
okay, cool.
gosh.
So I'm like, Derek, go out to the shed in the dark at like 11 o'clock night now. It's already late after dinner. I'm like, go get whatever suitcase you can find that we've managed to thrift or bring home from California, and we're just gonna pack one in that one, and we'll share one, and then we'll go and we'll get another one.
Yeah.
So we we're like, okay, so we fly there, we get our luggage, and we're walking to our hotel. And I like, well, no, we're walking to our rental car, and I look down and I'm like, oh my God, my clothing are starting to fall out the corner of the suitcase. And I'm like,
Shut your
stop,
mouth.
your
Shut
clothes.
your mouth.
So I'm like, oh my God, we look so ghetto. We're all like, like, okay. So I was like, as soon as we get there, we'll figure out a situation. We'll have to go thrift another suitcase or buy one. And so we'll find a TJ Maxx or something. So we get there and we're like, for now, we'll just put my husband always carries this huge red and black duffel bag. So I'm like, well, sure that we can put our clothes in there for now. And then we'll take this out to the car or whatever and get rid of it. And we'll go find a suitcase. So I switch all this stuff out and I reach into the suitcase pocket and I'm pulling out this white bolo tie with like a train on it. And I'm looking at my husband and I'm like, my husband does not own a bolo tie. So I'm like, what is this in here? And I'm like, look, it has a train. And we're like, whoa. So I was like, all right, that's
The
definitely confirmation.
terrain, the sign.
Yeah.
Oh my
I was like, out of
days.
all the things in the entire planet, what's weird was that suitcase, we actually thrifted it where I'm from, in the city where I'm from, in San Bernardino, California. So I was like, weird that I took a bolo tie all the way back from where I'm from to my home and then bring it back out west. And I find it after all this happened. I was like, that's crazy because I emptied the suitcase and I don't remember there being anything left in there,
I am starting to buy into your signs.
Yeah, like it's a legit thing.
Literally. You know what still surprises me? How many stylists tell me they've never heard of Virtue Lab products. I found Virtue back in 2017 at a hair show, and I've been hooked ever since. I use it on myself, like this beautiful flourish right here. It's their hair thinning line. There's a full system. There's a shampoo, there's a conditioner, there's a density booster, one that's drug-free, and the other one that has minoxidil in it, which is amazing, you guys. If you haven't tried these products, please do. And it's one of the lines I actually stand behind as a professional. Here's why it's different. Virtue is the only hair care line in the world that uses human-derived keratin called alpha keratin 60 KU. Because it's human derived, your body recognizes it as its own and actually accepts it. We all want products that truly heal and repair hair, right? Not just make it shiny for a day. Virtue does that. It literally fills in the cracks in the damaged areas, strand by strand. So, you guys, trust me. You'll see results after one use, but after 5 washes, honey bunny, the hair will feel like a completely different head of hair. Soft, strong, and actually healthy. So if you're ready to stop masking damage and start repairing it, I know you're ready. Shop Virtue through my link today in the description. Support the show, support your hair. You'll thank me later. Bye.
I know. So then I went through the first full year by myself in the salon, like taking business coaching classes and learning just, how to run a hair salon because I walked into something where I was like, I've got to be prepared. I'm not ready to deal with nobody's drama. I've worked in
Yeah.
enough salons and I've seen enough
Yes.
chaos.
Yes.
I was like, I
We
know
ain't doing
definitely what
that.
I
We
don't
ain't
want.
doing that ever again. No.
Uh-uh. So now we've had it. It'll be 3 years and it's been really smooth selling.
And you
Yeah.
said that you initially, when you went in, you were smart because a lot of salons fail or they're just, breaking even. They're really not making any money. It looks like they are, but they're not, right? So
Right.
sounds like you went into it smart. What was your first step when you decided, I found the location, it was meant to be, the trains have all led me there, right? I'm
Right.
here. So what was your first step in just mapping out your plan? Like, how did you decide how many stations you were gonna have? Like, did
So
you
it was
do
already
the math
set up.
ahead of time?
Yeah, it was already set up with stations because it was a salon. They
And
closed
how
down
many
their
how many
name.
stations did they have?
They have 4. We have 4
4.
stations,
4.
and I
Okay,
have
cool.
2. So she had tanning rooms in here, and so I turned one of them into an aesthetics room, and my daughter works there, and then I turned the other one into an awesome color room for us. So we have these huge, awesome lockers that have a little drawer that you can pull out for, like, scales and mixing.
Ooh, nice. Nice,
They're so
nice.
epic.
How many square feet are we talking?
So it's 1,300 square feet.
Okay, that's a good size for 4
Yeah, I have a
people.
full, like, washer and dryer and, washroom, and then I have a full kitchen. So the man built this building, it's awesome. It has cathedrals. It's really high ceiling, like vaulted ceilings, but he built it with a full kitchen and a shower in case he didn't wanna turn it into a commercial building anymore and wanted to move more toward, like, residential in life because it's on his family's land that they've owned since 1789.
That's
So
dope.
the Yeah, yeah, they bought it from the American Indians, and I guess their family fought in the Revolutionary War. So this has been their family. They used to own all the way to the there's like an intersection near here that's a very busy intersection, and their family owned all the way to the intersection.
Damn,
So yeah,
that's
and like across the
amazing.
street is awesome. They own 300 yards across the street, so it's all trees. So they won't develop it, won't have an ugly view. I have windows galore. I have the most beautiful windows to look out. It's awesome.
I'm gonna have you, just send me a picture so I can
I
post it in the
will.
episode because 'cause I'm sure people watching and listening are like, they want a
It's a
visual.
vibe.
It just sounds beautiful. So you it's 4 chairs, 1,300 square feet. You put
Yes.
an esthetician room in one, your daughter works there, which is amazing, and then you have your beautiful color lab in the other room. So
Right.
when you opened your doors, well, just tell us since we're on the topic real quick, if we can tell it quickly. How did you come up with the name? Just because of the trees and just the
Yes.
grounds?
So I was actually it was kinda weird. In 2016, I went to look at a building and I didn't have any credit at all, like not good or bad. So I really couldn't afford the building that I wanted to initially buy. And during that time, I was out just really pondering on things, just meditating, spending time imagining like what
Yeah.
exactly I want. Cause I mean, that's a
Mhm.
manifestation is you got to imagine it just like it's there,
Yes,
So
yes,
I was like, I'm
absolutely.
manifesting this is going to come to pass. So I was out walking and I had my headphones in and I was like, "Man, like I really want this place to be so epic and it just has so much good fruit coming out. People are like, this place is amazing and it's
Yeah,
so cool." And I was like, "Where's the best fruit come out of?" And I was like, probably like an orchard, honestly, a vineyard orchard or something like that. But I was like, orchard, definitely. And so, because orchards have all different kinds of fruit,
yes, they
and
do,
yeah,
100%.
they're not just apples, but there's all different fruits there. Vineyards are like grapes, very specific. Orange groves are oranges. But I was like,
Yeah,
man, vineyards have fruit. And so I was like, I want this place to be exploding with good fruit, just good people are just vibing, they
Mm,
love their hair, they wanna come back, they love
mm.
the girls, and I was like, "Atomic energy," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, totally, molecules broken down in the smallest form become atoms, and atoms, when they're supercharged, create atomic energy," and I was like, "It explodes, exploding atoms," I was like, "Yes, atomic orchard," and I almost changed it. I was really close to changing it. For a minute, I was like, "We should call it The Grove instead," and we had built a whole website based off the Grove. And then right before we named it, I was like, no, let's switch back. Let's go back to Atomic
Yeah,
Orchard.
because you're a hair salon, not a day spa. So, a
Right.
hair
Right.
salon, and you specialize in color, and Atomic
We are
Orchard
colorists.
just sounds so much more imaginative.
Yes.
It's a little more creative, so I love
And,
that. That's
and to
awesome.
be honest, I have a lot of people come just because of the name. It
Yeah.
intrigues them enough
They're
to
like,
be
"What is
like,
that?"
yeah, and not to sound like I don't care what people name their business, but sheer something, you know what I mean? It's kind of played out. Sheer this, sheer that. And I was like, I
I
want something that
mean,
just
you don't care, so I'll care for you. I When I started 30 years ago, I knew. I was like, "Oh, we're not gonna be no shade, okay, sheer perfection," or, we saw one, we were Googling names, we saw the Hairport,
right.
absolutely not. We
Oh
saw
yeah.
we saw Curl Up and Die,
I worked
DYE,
at
I'm
that's
like,
the one that's the name of the one that came in and shut us down.
"Get your mouth all the way out of this
You scroll up
conversation.
and
Are you
die.
joking?"
Yeah.
We saw that. We Googled all these crazy names, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I don't wanna be cornball soup." I just don't. It just sounds
There. I
corny.
don't either. I was like, too cliche for me. I'm way too unique to be something so cliche.
Totally. So I love the name. So then you said that you took some business courses, you worked
Yes,
worked there by yourself
I
before
did
you
for a whole year.
invited other people into your universe. So what did you do? What were those steps like?
So
Was that a Google search,
I
for
kinda knew
example?
I could afford the rent by myself. I knew I would
Okay.
be like, hurts," but I could do it, right? And that was my one thing. I was like, "You don't open the salon unless you know you can cover the full rent," because I worked somewhere when I went to work there, the lady had right before I came, a full walkout and all the stylists left, and I was like, "Dang, man, I don't wanna be that guy,"
Oh, yeah.
right. So I was like, "Okay," so I was like, "I know I can afford the rent by myself, like, I have a good clientele," but I was like, "I need to get into some branding and I need to learn some growth process." So I went ahead and invested in Britt Siva's Thriving Stylist, and so I did the whole thing, like,
Shout out
really fast.
Brit Stiva.
Britt Siva, yeah, Britt
Go
Siva?
ahead. Tell me it. Brit
Britt
Stiva.
Siva.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So so I did her whole driving stylist method, and during that time, like, I went through it fast. I mean, I probably went through it faster than almost anybody, which I know they want you to take your time, but I'm like a sponge anyway. So so I went through it, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, she's legit. Like, she will help you grow your business, I promise you." So then the next thing I invested, I was like, "Well, then I'm gonna take her driving leadership because if she can help you as a stylist, then obviously she knows what she's talking about. I feel like she probably know the driving leadership." So I did that. I did the whole thing. I mapped out everything you could think of. I mean, all the way, every fundamental that you would need to open a business. I went through it carefully and slowly. I did the whole year and I
Mhm.
took the time and I figured out my whole plan. Like if I was going to open a commission salon, would I do this? If I was going to open a booth rental salon or a hybrid, what would I do? And I had everything planned out. I had all of everything, all of my key points of just owning a business planned out well during that year. And during that year, my daughter had started becoming a permanent makeup artist. So she
Okay.
started doing permanent makeup in the salon. And so it was just her and I was, she works different days than I do, so we didn't really see each other. So then I got through that and I started taking a communications course. I was like, I really want to know, I was like, I feel like I have a lot of tools in my toolbox, but I'm missing something. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's something that I'm missing. I just knew. I
You
was like,
know
I'm
what?
missing the
And a lot
I
of
had to call it
people don't.
charisma because I'm pretty charismatic anyway, but I was like,
Yeah,
it's
and a
you
lot of
know,
people don't factor that in, that communication style, because
so important.
I was in a partnership, and communication was definitely, if we're all being honest, a problem.
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't necessarily me, but feedback
Right.
from the booth renters was, "Whoa, the communication style is so terse, it's just so harsh." And
Oh, it's really yeah.
uncaring, and people think that just because you have a good business mind and you can put numbers together, that that's all it takes, but that doesn't build a community. You still have to
Right,
support your community, and they still have to be happy because you're
right.
only as successful as your unhappiest employee or who you're landlording to, your tenant, I guess, or whatever
Yes.
we call them, booth renter. That one unhappy camper is a cancer, and it will
Yeah.
destroy the entire environment.
Yeah,
So
what
the
they
fact
say,
that
one apple will spoil the whole bunch.
it's so true, and the
Bad
fact that
proof,
you
that's
took
bad
that
proof, you know?
right? You took that communications class, that's brilliant,
Yes,
that's
and I
amazing.
loved it, and well, it taught me a lot because, there are 5 different ways that people communicate, and just because I communicate one way and think that I'm really effective doesn't necessarily mean that they're soaking it up like that, you know? So I figured it made more sense to take a communications course, and so then my first girl came, I brought a girl on that was new out of school, and she was really good, and I loved her. She went to go work with, a bunch of other girls at a different salon about 7 or 8 months after she came. They were all going to one salon, so she wanted to go with them. We're really still close, but she just wanted to work with her people that she went to school with. And I was like, that's a good idea from her perspective. But from my perspective, I'm like, you don't want to go work with a whole bunch of new people when you're a new person because nobody has any clients. But I was like, she'll figure it out. So
Yep, and
I
then
hope she's doing good.
maybe she'll be back.
Right, who knows? But anyway, so then yeah, so now I've had my renter one of my renters now for 2 almost 2 years, and she's fantastic. She does beautiful hair, and she's the easiest laid back girl you could have,
Love
So,
that.
yeah, so now I'm thinking, though, I might be moving into a hybrid salon. I have talked to a girl today, so we'll see, but yeah, so I don't know. I love that I kinda can branch either way now, though, because I did take so much education that I know how it needs to be ran, you know?
I'm still considering it, opening up a salon space one more time. And, I have a unique concept in my head that if we can get the math to work, I'll do it. But if we can't, I won't. At this
Right,
stage of life, there's no world where I'm going to risk it all for something that I on paper doesn't make sense. But
right.
when I did my, just mapping it out on paper, obviously, if you have a commission-based salon, that is where all the money is made. However,
Yeah,
your overhead, your time,
right.
and all
Taxes,
of,
taxes. Oh my
taxes,
gosh.
payroll taxes, workman's comp, health
Mhm.
insurance,
Whoa.
you have to train them, you have to market them, you have to build their clientele for them, you have to make
Right,
sure, you don't only train them yourself, but you have to bring in educators in order to make that really work. You have to pay them at least minimum wage, whether they have a client or
right,
not.
right.
So, and then you have to listen to their ass complain that they don't make any money because they don't like your commission split. I mean,
Yep,
it's a lot, yeah, on
I know,
paper.
and
Mhm.
my tax lady was telling me I basically pay 15 on 50. So every $50 that I pay out, I'm paying 15 more dollars in taxes. So
That's
it's like,
right, that's right. You look at it on paper and it's like, "Ooh, I can make, you know, $100,000 a month." Yeah, in a perfect world, you can.
right. Most of the new people, most of the time, lucky for me, I'm in a military town, but most of the time it's just new people who don't know what they're doing yet. So now you got like a whole nother dynamic of like clients that aren't happy because, they're spending a little too much time. Maybe it might turn out fine, but they are a little slower usually when they start out. It's like, okay, we gotta speed this up. People want to go home and eat.
Yeah, and for me,
Yeah.
a hybrid does make sense if you wanna capture a little bit of both, best of both worlds, because a booth renter, the other side of that is a booth renter, only salon, which is nice because you
Right.
get a set flat rate, but that's all you'll ever make, right? So,
Yes.
there's
Oh,
that, but you get
right.
security. So, I
Mm.
mean, what to do?
My goal is to bring on I've talked to a girl today, and the only reason I would bring her on as commission is, and what I've been looking for, and I think I found is she's actually been doing hair 19 years, but they're moving here, but not for the military. And
Okay.
she's like, yeah. So I was like, well, I would be willing to do commission if you were trying to work up to being a booth renter. You know what I mean?
Sure. Graduate out.
Right, but then
Mhm.
I can tell somebody who wants to open a salon this. My old salon owner was awesome and clued me in on the fact that if you really wanted to bring on somebody to booth rent, you could start out at a lower booth rental price and kinda work them up as they
Yeah.
go, and that would
Yeah.
help them and help you, so you're not fully accountable for everything. They still have their write-offs, and they can still be their own business, but you would just be helpful. So my goal, anybody that comes here, I'm not trying to make $1 million off of a stylist here. I could care less.
Sure. Yeah,
I
yeah.
really came here so I had a space to make content. And then also, if I could help a stylist, I want to be a tight knit, like, group of girls, not necessarily like, I don't want 17 stylists. I don't need 17 personalities. Like, beep,
Oh,
beep, beep,
girl.
beep, like hens, like,
17
you never
or
sleep.
5 of those 17 always are sick.
Ri-
They always have a
Right,
problem. They always have a flat tire. They always had a long night. They
right. A kid that
you're
can't,
like, "Oh
a
my
kid that needs
days."
something. I know. And
And
so,
also I was gonna say that what if is a day rate a thing?
yeah, I mean, we've talked about so many things, thrown around so many ideas. The thing is, I'm not trying to do it fast. I'm trying to do it good, you know?
Okay, that part.
That's the
Yes.
difference, I think,
Yes,
in
yes,
me
yes,
and
yes,
others.
yes.
Right.
Mhm.
The other people are trying to do it money, money, I need money, and I'm like, I paid for this by myself for a year, like, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I like to work with good-hearted individuals, you know what I mean, that are
exactly.
really super passionate about the industry. Like, I love this industry. I wanna be with other people. I like to work with other people because you can bounce ideas off.
Whew,
Working in
yeah.
a suite, it was like, it was okay, but you wanna be able to talk to people who know about the chemicals and the other stuff, so it was like,
Well, even that,
you
but
know.
even a woosah at the end of the day so that you're not
Yeah,
gossiping with your clients about another client
exactly.
because there's
That
nobody to
worked.
talk to. You're like, "God dang it," and then when you're trying to mix their color, when you're trying to formulate and think, they're talking to you because everything's all in one room.
Yeah, I was, like, standing in the closet. Sometimes you're like, "Should I just shut this door? If I shut myself in here, can I see?"
I seriously, it's like, "Oh, can I eat lunch right in your face, but outside the door?" Sad.
That's
Oh
just
my
not for me. I
gosh,
really
well,
gotta do this to be in the environment.
yes, it sounds like you have the most amazing experience. You did everything the right way. For anybody listening, I hope they've learned something. How could they not? Especially
They
if
do
you're a
too.
younger stylist. Please don't go straight from beauty school to salon suite ownership. Please do not do that. Even though these stories, right, sound awful, like, well, I don't want to do that either, but you have to.
At them all, they're like,
You
"What do you mean? Did you
literally
hear how
have
many
to.
salons handling?" But I mean, you gotta find your people and your tribe, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
unfortunately, people tend to like me, so they're like, "Yeah, come on," and then I end up being like, "Oh, geez."
Yeah. You take one for the team, Audra, do you?
So so then, but also I'm passionate about educating, and this is a big enough space I can hold my own classes. So if I wanted to host my own Del Oro method class in here, they can come and I can do that because 1,300 square feet can fit at least 30 girls. You know what
You
I mean?
sure
It's a
can.
pretty
Yeah,
big space and set up cool enough you could put a ton of chairs. So it's a really good opportunity to have people come through and teach education. I mean, I'm telling you, the space is amazing. So we
yeah.
are definitely lucky to be here. He loves us. So I'm like, the man who leases me our building. At first, this part they were like, "How are you going to incorporate?" Because they wanted me to continue to incorporate the name, the hair station, and
Oh.
I was like, would it be cool if we just paid homage by like leaving the sign outside? What's the railroad sign? Because it says it on there, but it's not so bold that you think it's a sign. And so what he was like, well, what are you planning? Because this is his family farm for years, like where my building is used to be their cow pasture years ago. So
Oh.
he's like, what are you gonna name it? And when I told him the name, he was like, all right, I like that. I was like,
Okay, good.
"Woo."
He was on
Yeah,
board.
so it didn't
Cool.
end up being anything at the hair station, thank God. I was like, "Oh, I really don't want that."
Oh, brother, like, does that come with the building? No, thanks. Goodness.
I
Yeah.
thought she closed out her name, but Yeah, so he totally was fine with it now, so
Well,
but,
and,
yeah, at first
you're
I was
like,
like,
I gotta bring my energy to this, and it starts with the name. I mean, come on, right?
Right.
So
Right.
tell us as we wrap this up,
Yeah.
tell us, because you are bound and destined to launch your education platform or grow the
Yeah.
platform, I should say, because it already exists, the Del Oro
Yes.
method. So just tell us, give us a little quick plug on the Del Oro method as we wrap.
So the Delaware method is, you know, designed for stylist education. Most of it's balayage and blonding, but balayage and blonding doesn't necessarily mean blonde, right? Because you can tone it down to any color. So we do different colors of education, not just blonding and balayage. Also, I did create my own client communication and consultation mini series so that people can kind of go through, and it pulls from the communications course that I went through. It pulls some stuff from the stuff that I've learned from Thriving Stylist. Thank you, Britt. And it pulls like a bunch of other just things that I think are important that I've gone through and decided were, made sense for this industry. And it's super helpful. I think people, especially if they are not nailing their hair colors and it's definitely a consultation issue, it's a good thing for them to go through.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
any education, if you can pull one thing out of education, I think that that means that it's a successful, class or whatever model you're using. But I feel like if you could just learn, that was my whole thing when I went to Creator Con. I was like, if I just learned one thing, it made it
Yeah.
worth it. I came here to learn something I don't know, you know?
All right. Well, I love that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much again for coming back on the show and sharing your story. Tell everybody where they can find more of you and what you're doing.
Okay. They can find me at Audra Paints Hair on Instagram. They can find me at Audra Paints Hair on YouTube. They can find me at Audra Paints Hair on TikTok. They can find me on Facebook under Audra Christine Brown because my page got hacked.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it's okay. It is what it is. I lost it, but now I'm a guest, and 5 people from Vietnam are running that page.
Oh, that's amazing. Like, why would they want that?
I don't know. I don't have any card or any information hooked up to it.
And
I
that's
just
your website?
No, no, that was my Facebook page, my original
Oh,
Facebook page. Yeah,
Facebook.
Facebook
Oh,
got hacked. No, my website
I was gonna
is
say, I thought that's what I heard you say, but because I swear to God, I am not manifesting early onset dementia at all. I hope, Lord, I don't have that, but how quickly I forget things, it's almost kinda scary. Just saying.
no, no, there's a whole bunch of platforms. I feel like I hit all of them.
Yes, yes, I love it, and these platforms, content creation, Creator Con, as much as I had a great time, I do not wanna be a content creator, I really don't, but I know to some degree I have to be if because it's a free tool that we have to
Right,
use for marketing your whatever it is, you're trying
right.
to market. So
That's the
what do you
thing is,
do?
if it works out as a content creator, I'll take it on, but I'm really just trying to get my education out there so that people learn what they need to know. Because I've been having people call me and or message me like, "Can you call me?" And I'll spend an hour walking them through tomorrow's, client or whatever, and I like that. Like, I'm not trying to be a business coach, but I enjoy the one-on-one, like, really helping them feel confident in how they're gonna execute their plan. That's awesome, you know?
No,
It's a good
perfect.
thing.
Thank
I wish
God.
somebody would have helped me
I know,
at the first the first salon.
that's what I was gonna say, thank God for people like you. We need people who care, right? Because there's so many
Yeah.
people out there that need help. Alrighty, Ardra,
Yes.
thank you so much
Hi,
for coming
friend.
on the show, and, we will see every one of y'all next time. Bye.
Hey, can't wait to see you soon. Bye.